We'll see if I get one tomorrow. Maybe, you know, sometimes it takes a day or two. Might, like everybody might not get one the same day.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, good afternoon. Anybody, can folks hear me all right?
Yes.
Cool. All right. Try to remember to keep this close to my mouth. Not gonna do this. All right, well, I'll call this meeting to order. And first order of business.
I don't, your mic is not coming through here.
It's coming through the speakers, it's just not turned up enough.
Okay, so that's all I can do.
I'm the pastor.
Oh, he's taking care of it, he's upstairs. In more ways than one, there's somebody upstairs. That's great. All right, oh, there we go.
There you go.
All right, thank you. All right, first order action of business is to approve the minutes, and they're on the back side for those that have the agenda. Any questions, comments? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve. All right, I've got a motion and a second. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? None? Ayes have it. All right. So that brings us to open forum, and sorry, bear with me. I'm trying to do things one-handed. If I can, I'll tell you what. I'm going to start on this side of the room and work my way across. And if when you stand up, if you can, please just say your name and address, please. And you got we got 2 minutes.
Leroy Anderson, up 1207 Luca Court over in Sonoma Verde. Question is, how long do y'all have before you call an election on the approval of the sale to Aqua, and how long do the members have to respond? What is the process to cast these votes? Who will be responsible for canvassing these votes, and how long before you report the results? And what is the process going forward if the vote count is negative?
Let me make sure I got that back. Sorry.
Thank you all for letting me make a comment. First off, we've never met, so I want to introduce myself, Mr. Naylor. I am William Blanchette. And as far as personally, I got nothing against you whatsoever. So I just want to put that out there. As a person, I got no problem with you. Now, in regards as an RCH president, I do have a lot of issues of what's going on. And one of the main things I want to know is why RCH had Aqua come to my home and threaten me because of my First Amendment protected right on social media posts to put a restrictor on my water meter. That's, you know, something I want answered. And another thing is I reached out. I realize you don't have a direct number per se on RCH, but I did reach out and I asked Aqua, hey, have Mr. Naylor give me a call, because I would like to talk to him, you know, and find out what's up with this, what's going on. And then on top of that, I also have emailed you. I emailed you even prior to anything of me ever posting anything. When I first moved here and I knew there was a water issue, just to get down to the bottom. Hey, how are we going to get a bill? What's going on? I just moved here, introduced myself more than once. No responses, none whatsoever. The only response I got was 14 hours later, after I post something on social media that, I don't know, hurt feelings or whatever the case may have been. And Aqua shows up threatening me to put a restrictor on my meter based on my right to freedom of speech. And that's a big issue. And to this day, I haven't got a call from you so we could talk about it, you know, because that's the route I want to go. I don't want to get a lawyer and and, sue you. I'd rather talk to you like a man. Hey, this was going on. What happened? What's going on? And let's handle the situation, because frankly, that's just not right to treat any of the members that way. And you who represent us as the members for RCH, you shouldn't want us treated that way. So if it didn't come from you to order Aqua, then you should have a really big problem if Aqua's going on their own and doing that to your members.
Good afternoon. My name is Jerry Smith. I live at 805 Abington Way in McLendon-Chisholm. One of the things I'll let you know is that I've lived in the Rockwall County area for over 35 years, and I've lived in McLendon-Chisholm for the last 5 years. For those first 30 years that I've lived in this area, I never had a water problem. I never had restrictions of any kind that I recall, and I certainly haven't had these severe water restrictions that we're having now. And the primary reason for that is because every location that I've lived within Rockwall County, I've been a direct customer of the North Texas Water Municipal District. Okay, that's first thing. Second thing is that, hey, I realize that you guys are volunteers. All of the members on the boards are volunteers. And I just want you to know that I really appreciate the work that you guys have done for however long you've been on the board. I don't know each and every one of you, never seen you before. I wouldn't even recognize you if I was on the street, but I do appreciate the work you've done. Secondly, I really also appreciate the fact that you guys realize that managing our water supply has become a much bigger job than 4 or 5 guys can do on a part-time basis. I've been in that situation before. I know it's a thankless, it's tough, it's a hard job, okay? And you certainly can't do it on a part-time basis. And I appreciate you guys realizing that fact and trying to get some trying to do something, trying to either sell it, distribute it, do whatever it needs to be done so that our community can be properly served. I think that's real important, okay? The other thing is that having looked, my only concern is, number one is, like everyone else in this room and the members of the board yourselves, you guys know the only real solution to our problem is we have to become a direct member, okay, of the North Texas Municipal Water District. That's the only short-term and long-term solution that we have. Nothing else is going to satisfy me and probably most of these people. And I personally am not going to vote for any solution that doesn't include a direct connection to the North Texas Municipal Water District.
Hi, Richard Brown. I live on Candace Circle. Only question I'm concerned about due diligence that the board did with Aqua, because nobody here can find anything good about Aqua. Their reputation is in the toilet. Better Business Bureau's complaints are through the roof. And if you go look at Aqua Suck's website, you will see RCH has never delivered us brown water. Never. I know we've had problems. You know how long I've been here, Jackie, and you've never given us brown water, ever. And that's good. That shows that at least you're better than they are. You picked the only water company in the world that's worse than y'all. You really did. I just don't understand what due diligence you did to come up with that. It's beyond me. I run 4 major corporations. I have a personal corporation, 65,000 acres of oil and gas land. I'm a managing director of a large real estate development firm in Louisiana. I've never seen, I just don't understand. I do not know how y'all could pick those people. I really don't. You just had to Google search them. That's it. Simple Google search. And you'd go, not these guys. That's all I got. And yeah, thank y'all for volunteering.
I'm Kathy Garrison, and I live at 1400 Wheelers Way. We've been out here for 15 years, and for the last 6 or 7 years, have been to all the water board meetings that we possibly can make, and was very upset at how it was not geared towards the members, and they were continually handing out new meters. So that got us into a bad situation with not having enough water to go to all the meters. And since David Naylor has taken over, we appreciate what you are trying to do to help correct all of this. And I know as a homeowner that is losing 50-foot red oak trees that we've had in the ground for years, and to have had this in there for 15 years and see it all go to waste in the last 5, 6. We just want, if we're going with Aqua Texas, if you're wanting to go with Aqua Texas, and we have town hall meetings, if they can come up with, okay, they've had problems in these areas, can they tell us, okay, we did, and that has been corrected, and all the things that are out there bad about them, is there some reason that that was happening and that they have changed that? Because if we're basing it on what we see on Google, which can be there for 20, 30 years, we need to make sure they can tell us if they're gonna be someone that's gonna be in the town hall, if they can give us some good ideas of why it was like that and what we're gonna do forward. We just all want good water, but if they're gonna meet with us or whoever, we wanna be able to know why. Thank you, David.
Yes, sir. My name's Sam Shanoff. I live at 2270 Ridge Lake Lane. I've lived in this city since 1968. That's 55 years. I sat on the first city council meeting of the city of McLendon-Chisholm. Now, I moved out here. I didn't want to be in the city, and I found out after I bought my property that I was in it. So I showed up at the first meeting, and when I walked away from there, I was secretary treasurer. At least I knew where in the hell the money was, or what was going on. Now, I've been very good to RCH Water, and they've been very good to me. I let them run an 8-inch water line all the way through my pasture, half a mile. No charge, no lien, no lease, no nothing. Just a handshake with Dwight Lindahl. And I get the first letter I get from this Aqua group is a threatening letter. I don't know who the hell these people are. That's the first letter I got. Then the second letter I got says, we're proud to partner up with RCH. Partnership, what does that mean? Is this a co-op or is this a for-profit company? Because if it's a for-profit company, we're all, every one of us in here are getting ready to get it put to us. I'll tell you that right now. As long as it's a co-op, I belong to FEC, which is an electrical co-op. At the end of the year, I get a check back from the overage. It is a perfect non-profit organization. I've never gotten one from RCH. And it really bothers me. Now, I talked to one at the board meeting, one of your board members that I know, and he told me that there's an alternative. Another alternative is to hook in the North Texas Municipal Water District's main line that they just ran all the way from Wiley to Forney, Texas. I'm a commercial real estate broker. I've been here for 40 years. I sold the property that line crosses right down here I can't remember the name of the little town, right before you get to Terrell. And there's an opportunity there to hook onto that line down there and run it up Brushy Creek where you would not infringe upon anybody's rights, would not have to displace anyone, move right up there. I don't know if you've got the power of eminent domain or not. Don't know the answer to that.
Sir, I'm sorry, it's 2 minutes, but thank you very much.
You can have my 2 minutes. Keep talking.
He can have mine. You truly need to let him talk.
Sorry.
They've given me the time and I'm gonna take it, okay? I got seniority. I've been in this city longer than you've been alive, okay? And I'm here to tell y'all, this is not right. Everybody in here, there's 2,600 members. Not a one of us were asked, did we want any part of this deal? Not a one. They just asked. I'm here to tell you that I, for one, don't want any part of it. I don't. I've trusted RCH. They do direct billing. Now, I don't even know where my banking information is. All I know is that some company out of Pennsylvania, some damn place. They got a Texas address, but that's where they're from. I hadn't heard anything good about them. Hadn't heard anything at all. Just got this letter. And I'm getting ready to call these people up and tell them where they can. I'm getting ready to tell them something.
Yeah.
But I didn't. We need some answers, guys. Now, I know that I know what it's like to sit there. I sat on the city council. I was a city judge in the McLendon-Chisholm for 4 years. I impeached the first mayor to be impeached in the state of Texas since the 1800s. I had my life threatened. I had my children's life threatened. I've got an invested interest in this community. And whenever I find out something like this is going on, and we don't have any warning, nobody says, "Hey, what do you want to do?" We're all members. We weren't to start with, but we all members now. And I think we have a vote. I think we ought to have a vote. And then I'm going to ask you a simple question, one simple question, it's yes or no. Is this a done deal, or is this not a done deal? No, I want to hear it from them.
They can't answer it.
Texas law.
When I call RCH, the lady told me I can't answer any question. And I've been going down there knowing those people for 55 years. And they can't answer any question.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good job, Frank.
My name is Wayne Davidson, at 1409 Lowell Circle, McLendon-Chisholm. And I just want to make some corrections. There was some false statements made last time, and I just want to correct the record. Contrary to what was said, only 80% of the Tawakoni Lake is being used. It's yield. It's firm yield. And only 40% is under permanent contract. So there's plenty of water available there. And at our last board meeting, August 3rd, the lake was at 98.6% capacity. It was full. It's still near full. So we don't have a supply problem or a water problem, a water availability problem. What we have is a water supply problem. We need to get a pipeline from here to Lake Tawakoni. And if we, as I suggested last time, go into a cooperative agreement with 3 other water supply districts, then we can solve that issue, because one of the cooperatives is riparian, what they call riparian. They have a right to that water that's in that lake, and they can't be denied. If we partner with them, then we can't be denied. So I'm just suggesting that we seriously take a look at getting water out of Lake Tawakoni, because there's plenty of water available. Thank you.
My name's Kyle Watson. I'm 1777 Mafia over in Sonoma Verde. I think I speak with everybody. Really, there has been no accountability, no oversight, and I know you guys weren't all here when a lot of things took place, and you're trying to pick up some pieces. But there's been a lot of instances where people feel like they're getting promised a whole lot and nothing delivered, and that's just been the typical MO historically. I even go back and read the agreement that you signed with Aqua on the 22nd, which is 2 weeks ago, which is after the fact that you said Aqua's taken over the services and servicing and management of the operations portion of it, and said we're going to spend a lot of money, or RCH is going to spend a lot of money to go put in new systems and automated meter reading systems for the meters, which meters are working right now. There's a whole lot more important things, I feel, than trying to digitize a very small community and go to an automated system which benefits somebody. Whether it may benefit somebody in the future, we don't know what systems they're going to use. If it's proprietary to they have the IP to it, so only Aqua is the only people that's ever able to communicate with those meters. We don't know. And that's what you guys decide. However, you also decide where the money's going that needs to be creating more infrastructure to deliver said water, upgrade the systems that go to service this area. And nobody's had any oversight. Nobody's been able to audit anything. I know you guys ran an audit for the financials, and we appreciate what you guys are trying to come in and do. Just some more visibility to build the trust and confidence in the community is really important. And I had a whole bunch, but I know I'm only gonna have 2 minutes, so I'll yield. Thank you.
My name is Warren, 1706 Kipphut. I live in Sonoma Verde, and it is currently not fully developed. The developers have control over the HOA, and then the builders have their lots. So my question is, are they gonna have voting blocks concerning this sale, or is it gonna be Castle Rock gets one vote? How is that voting going to be split? Because we could all vote no, and if the developers and the builders vote yes, then it's a done deal.
Get one vote.
What? I wanna hear them say that.
Thank you. I promise I'll get over here in just a minute.
Hi, I don't have any comments regarding this, but I'd ask the board to consider allowing people who stand up to speak to please come forward and either use a microphone or face the audience as well, because we're here for information, and we cannot get information if we cannot hear what anyone says. So I appreciate your consideration in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, folks are welcome to use the microphone if you need it.
I got a loud voice.
Sure, choice.
Chris George, 3085 Ridge Creek Drive, High Point, Lake Estates. There was a gentleman over here mentioned how long he's lived here and never had a water problem. I think we all agree that the issue is there is continuing to be development out this way, and the water system didn't keep up with the demand. And the contract that was signed back in 2009 with RCH in Rockwall called for 2.1 million gallons and roughly 1,268 meters. We're at 2,600 meters, so there is a lot of blame being placed on RCH for issuing all those meters. The problem is there is development going on. And as I asked Ms. Councilwoman Balkum point blank if the city would consider putting a moratorium on new building permits and new water meters being issued, she said no. So in my mind, unless we try to control that, we're going to continue to have this problem, because the solution of getting more water is not going to be immediate. There's been some suggestions of how to get more water, and one thing I would suggest that in upcoming town hall meetings that Aqua does present how they plan to get us more water. I think that's really what most of us here want, is more water. But I'm asking the board is that since McLendon-Chisholm will not put a moratorium on new building permits to stop water meters going from new development, I would kindly request that the board take that type of action.
Thank you. All right, coming back. Yes, sir.
David Black, I'm at 1419 CN.
Can't hear you.
Believe me, you're not gonna want to hear this.
Sorry.
Okay. My name is David Black, I'm at 1419 City Lane.
Mic to your mouth.
Number one, I guess the biggest issue for me is we got to get more water ASAP, because of at least one other is mentioned, we're losing a lot of investments because of this manufactured stage 5 drought. It's totally manufactured. I know it's reality because of the limited supply. And yeah, I have a question on the water meters as well. Who hands them out? And I assume the water company hands out water meters. Back in September 1st, the State Senator Bob Hall replied to a RCH member's request for information on the problems. And his response included this RCH is currently working to secure an interconnection that would allow more water, and that it could be implemented within a matter of a couple of weeks from the final approval. So I'm just wondering if that's right, and if this is a possible deal with Blackland Water or someone else, but I like the idea of a couple of weeks because, again, we're losing our investments. Now, as far as comments about Aqua Texas, you look, water companies are going to have complaints in the complaint section. So, but the thing is, Aqua Texas, or Aqua nationally, has taken it to the level of headlines. They make headlines when they screw up. Like contaminated water taking years to clean up and people having to buy bottled water for years. Now that was in another state. But here in Texas, just last year.
That's been 2 minutes.
Oh.
You can have mine too.
Well, just real quick, the overpumping an aquifer in Hays County, Texas, got them a fine of $448,000, and that made a headline right there. And then, of course, Will testified to his treatment by Aqua. There was really no due process, no warnings. It just doesn't make any sense what they did to him.
Thank you.
Tony Crawford. I live at 104 Lavender Place in McLendon. Just two things. For Mr. Naylor, is when you took over as president, with all the problems that we're having, why wasn't there a town hall meeting before now, before all this started, so that everybody in this room is, obviously it's a full room, or a pretty full room, that people are upset. We probably could have tamped a lot of this stuff down at that point. The other question is, I sit on the committee that was formed from people from inside the city limits and also the ETJ to have a fair representation of questions for RCH, because I know y'all can't answer them here, and then the city. The city has already provided, very open, has done a town hall meeting, has also provided another meeting with us as a committee on the questions that were presented to the city, and answered as being very open. You've been presented with those questions, but we haven't gotten them back yet. And so just curious when we're going to get those back from RCH so that y'all can communicate with us through that, either a town hall or the questions that were presented we put a lot of time into to make sure that they were complete and legitimate, and that would give you an opportunity to explain to us what's been going on. So, thank you.
Mike Evans, 2525 Windcrest Drive. My question real quick is, why can't RCH negotiate with Wiley to increase our water supply that we haven't had increased in I don't know how many years, but yet we've had a number of meters increased. I think we should negotiate with Wiley to get more water and possibly build a second tower to supply the south end of Rockwall.
Mark Kipphut, 31 Fireside. Emotions are high in this room, as you might expect, and we're going to have an election. Election integrity is critical. Vote integrity is critical. So I strongly encourage this board because I know you're going to have a say over the procedures, to utilize the Rockwall County Elections Director and utilize it as they do for other utility elections that are held in Rockwall County, so that we have vote integrity and the ability to canvass. I thank the man that brought that up. You know, independent folks that can canvass that vote and watch the vote being counted, because I know whatever outcome of that vote is, if there's any questions on integrity, there's going to be a lot of challenges that potentially could be filed. It's the state of Texas. I think that's really important, and it's important. The last time we had an election, those votes were counted outside of the state of Texas. I don't think that you want to do that this time. So, thank you.
Not yet.
Okay, appreciate the meeting. My name is Peter Hankin. I live in High Point Ranch, 209 Hidden Pass. I hope by the end of this meeting to learn what will happen if and when we vote no. I think that's an important thing. Is Aqua or some likely to continue their contract to run this system for you? Or are you likely to get somebody else sort of that will do it as the way H2O has done it for several years now? I hope that we'll get this question answered. Thank you.
My name is Kyle Peoples. I'm at 1370 Pullen. And not only are we giving out water meters to these developers, but the main thing that I'm concerned about is how come we're not holding these developers about the size of the pipe that is being put in the ground? Because 20 years later, we're going to run into this same problem because we're not holding the developers liable for the size of pipe that the architects actually say that needs to be in the ground. They're putting smaller size pipe than what they're supposed to, cutting corners, and we're just going to run into the same problem 20 years down the road with pressure and everything else. The size of pipes are there for a reason, and we should hold our developers accountable for it.
Mrs. Anybody? Sorry.
Dr. Charles Russo, I'm at 633 Eagle Pass in High Point Ranch. Questions that I understand can't be answered here for the board regarding the letter that we received from Aqua last week regarding the possibility of violations and sanctions against individuals. One, I would like to know, did the RCH board approve that letter before going out? Also, when the letter states that repeated offenders would be sanctioned, what constitutes repeated? Okay, one, we know that the letter said that you would either be verbally told by an Aqua individual or that you would have a door hanger. Due process seems to be very limited, if lacking altogether, with this. Who approved it? Who's really the violators? And how is that going to be looked at in the future? We'd like to see kind of what is that process, who's going to be labeled how many times? What is it that your sprinklers were on one time? Are you now a repeated violator? And then at what point do we have the ability to really look at the restrictors that would possibly be put on according to that letter? Is there anything to fight with that as consumers?
My name is Barbara Rohde. I live at 13 Dancing Waters. My husband and I have been up here 11 years. We first went to city council meetings and the RCH board meetings. And eventually, because the board members didn't want us there, they would change the time, they would move the location, whatever else, and obviously we all got frustrated with it. So my experience with RCH has not been as positive as others might be. So I'm looking through this situation through jaundiced eyes. And I, as everybody else, are losing a lot of, trees, plants, whatever our 2 acres has on it. Anybody gonna make that right? That's my first question, because we're all losing here because of whatever and whoever made decisions for all these extra, whatever you call them, to put out water. And then the other thing, I'd just like to know what exactly is your relationship with Aqua today Have you signed contracts? What is it? Because now I'm hearing we're supposed to vote, and we're going to vote on what? Thank you.
No.
I just had one last comment. There are 2,600 meters, 2.1 million gallons a day. That averages 806 gallons per meter. I know we're only using about 200 gallons, maybe 150. So there are some bad actors in our water district. And the board knows who they are. They're metering the water every month. So it's an easy matter to shut them down so that everybody has water. That's all I have to say.
We gotta take family size into account. 2 people.
Hi, my name is Julie Rowan. My husband and I live at 800 East FM 550. We bought that land, 56 acres, about 20 years. We raised our children here. We've raised horses here and cattle. And my question is, when we first bought the land, we had plenty of water for our horses, for our chickens, and occasionally for the cows in one little pasture that we would have to water a big tank, or, you know, blue plastic tank. We had plenty of water then. We no longer have cows. Our neighbor runs his cows on our bottom half, and they drink from the tank that God provides for. We don't actually put that in. But I still have to water my horses and my chickens. My sprinkler system hasn't worked all summer long, as I'm sure many of you are in the same boat. The only shrubs I have that are living are the ones that are around my house, which is my foundation. They get watered. We're at 800. They get watered on Thursdays and on Sunday nights. And I'm just saying that I understand that McLendon-Chisholm is a lovely place to live. I love it. But you guys and the city of McLendon-Chisholm have issued so many water meters, and you have not improved your infrastructure in 20 years. And I find it very frustrating because I don't feel like we are wasteful. I try to be conservative. I try to be conservative because it's expensive. I don't want to run a bunch of extra water. But I will not make sure my horses go without water, my chickens, my animals. My orchard is just about dead. And I know who I had to thank for it. Gentlemen, those of you who are sitting up there with these blank faces and you refuse to answer, I understand that you feel like your back is up against the wall, but I feel like we need some answers and we need some responses from you because we are rather frustrated.
Richard Brown again. I will, RCH on infrastructure, they've done a good job of updating and adding water lines. For instance, Edwards Road, we solved that problem back there. The problem is they haven't upgraded their water supply contract since 2009. It's not infrastructure, it's just they can't buy water. That's it.
I have a question more thing. Just a real quick comment, Mr. Naylor, I'm hoping that you could address during your president's comment, is those of us, if we do not get a bill, I know bills have gone out, for those of us, if we do not get a bill, what process do we need to take to reach out to y'all so we can make sure that we do get our bill and we don't go another, 1, 2, 3, or 4 months without getting a bill before, everything catches up in the system? If you could just address that in your president's comments, I'd really appreciate it. Oh yeah, here you go.
Hi, I'm Tammy. I live at 805 Abington. Oh, you can't? I'm sorry. I'm Tammy. Knowing how
everybody feels and how we feel about building more. How can y'all in good conscience continue with this transaction? I'm just curious. That's all.
Anybody else?
Hi there, I'm Linda DeBrea. I live at 901 Campton Court. One thing I just think everybody here needs to understand is that this is just a comment, public comment time. The board cannot respond to us. So it's not that they're ignoring your questions, it's just that they are not allowed to respond to the questions or the comments because of I think it's the Texas Open Meeting Act. So that's what's going on with that. The other thing I kind of want to piggyback onto what that gentleman over there said. When I got the letter from Aqua about the violations and restrictors, I didn't feel it was clear how it would be, someone would be notified if they were an overuser. I don't think that it's really acceptable if someone comes to the door, because that's just a verbal thing. I think it needs to be a written notification that someone is in violation or overusing or whatever, and someone needs to have an opportunity to correct that before a flow restrictor is put onto their meter.
My name is Mandy Young, and I live at 2460 Windcrest Drive. And my hope would just be before restrictors and that sort of thing are put on, I would certainly hope that at some point we are interviewed to know how many people live in your home. I have 8 children and I homeschool, and we are home all the time, all 10 of us. So you might look and think, oh my goodness, look at your water compared to my water because you only have a 3,500 square foot house. Well, I've got a lot of kids and we got a lot going on in my house. So I would hope that that would be considered at some point.
Anybody else?
I'm not like the older gentleman in the back who lived here 55 years, but I've lived in North Texas for over 40 years, and I had North Texas municipal water supply in several of my homes. Never ran out of water, never had restrictors, never had any problems. My name's Bob Fadick. I moved to Sonoma Verde July 1st, and I actually had a visit of Mayor Pro Tem to find out how to get water turned on in my house. There was water there, but we didn't know who our water supply was. I knew who the sewerage people were because I got paperwork from them, and they said they no longer managed the billing for us. If I would have known that we had this much problems with water in Sonoma Verde, I probably would have never bought a home there. I did have choices.
My name is Joan, and I live at 1822 Abruzzo Drive. And last meeting, there were a lot of questions and no answers. And I understand the law, but my question is, how do we make an informed decision if we do not have any kind of communication? We ask questions and nothing happens. I asked Aqua last time, the representative, how are you paying for this? They're putting in these meters and they're doing all this. Well, we haven't had any bills. And RCH says, oh, well, we're helping. We're paying for some of this. And then I asked Aqua, well, your things aren't getting done. And you said, Aqua said, oh, we have investors. We have billion-dollar investors. We have all this money. I want to know who those investors are.
BlackRock's one of them.
And Vanguard.
BlackRock is one of them?
Yeah,
I
Vanguard
want to
too.
know.
They're a public company, you can look it up.
Yes, but I think that they should be able to tell us. When we ask a question at these meetings,
They don't want you to know who
they
the
don't want
investors
us
are.
to know. Nobody wants us to know anything. It is so frustrating. I want to be a good citizen, but I don't get any answers. I hear everybody's comments. We don't even get a printout of what the comments were. We don't get an answer of any sort. What is the procedure in the state of Texas? What is your responsibility to answer our questions? We just keep getting the same thing over and over again, and I'm very, very frustrated.
Hi, my name is Lois Bushnell, and I live at 1701 Publio Court. And yesterday I was sitting out on my patio, and down Salvatore Lane, there's a whole row of Castle Rock houses. I sat there and watched two people water their yards with sprinklers. And because they're new, maybe they don't know that they're not supposed to be watering, because I don't know because when they lived there, when they moved in, you know, maybe we weren't paying a water bill. So do these people know that they're not supposed to be watering?
One thing I've noticed is there's some new areas, like on the back of Sonoma Verde, like Everett roadside, almost in Everett Road, that those people weren't on your system when H2O ran off with the record, so to speak. And they haven't been legally notified. They've got nothing in writing. So technically, if they live in that area, they ain't gonna water till they get a notification. But just, I don't know how y'all solve that problem, but there are homes on that back side that aren't in your system, so. Don't know how you fix that.
Yeah. Sir.
That's right.
Mikey Boots.
Steve Smith, 2465 Windcrest. So what I have picked up around here is there's a lot of people that know a lot of stuff and a lot of people that don't know a lot of stuff. I'm one of those people within the last week who tried to figure out what's going on. It's like a puzzle piece because it depends on which social media you read, it depends on which neighborhood you're in, it depends on who you're listening to. But with that being said, I think we all need to have the same facts, because just between neighbors, we understand things differently, and it depends on who you talk to. So I would like some clarification, though, with that being said. My understanding is that if we voted yes for Aqua, that RCH could be still in existence, therefore allowing us to get water from North Texas Municipal Water. Okay, I like the board to, again, I don't mind not have, but from my understanding that RCH could stay in existence because they're just buying the assets, not the company, the infrastructure. So I'd like clarification on that. Also, my understanding, again, I see a lot of head shaking no, so I'm not saying that I know the answers, I'm saying I'm trying to piece this together. That's why I want some clarification, because if I'm getting wrong information, there's a lot of people getting wrong information. The other thing I understand is that if McLendon-Chisholm takes over RCH, that the cash, they're taking over all of our cash that's in the bank account. They're taking over everything. They're getting the cash and the infrastructure. Whereas if we sell to Aqua, they're just buying the infrastructure, and that cash is still left there to be distributed amongst its members. Again, I'm not saying that I'm right, but I would like clarification from the board.
Texas law. Go look at the Texas law.
Hey, sir.
I'm telling you, you asked.
Okay.
There's your answer.
Okay. So anyway, I would like clarification from the board.
Yeah.
Because I think that we all need to have the same information.
You just heard everybody say that they're not going to give it to you.
Well, they're not going to give it to us now, but I know that David Naylor puts out things in the after these meetings that we read. But see, I mean, just me standing up has caused some conflict because we're all on different notes, right?
Because you don't know what you're talking about.
Good point. So I'm just
most of us know what the answers are, and I have a feeling you do too.
I like your comment.
You may be pro Aqua.
No, I'm not pro.
Well, my feeling is you're pro Aqua.
Oh, absolutely not.
I think you're a plant.
No. Absolutely not. I'm absolutely not pro Aqua. I'm absolutely not actually pro McLendon-Chisholm either. I'm something completely different, a different option.
You bet. You lost. David, I have one last comment.
Oh, Lord. Shoot.
I'm Sherry Couch, 936 Eagle Pass in High Point Ranch. To find answers.
Can't hear you.
To find answers, since they aren't able to say anything, we all know that when we came in. I've been doing my research, as many of you have, and basically the first thing that I found out was that privatizing local water systems does no good for the people involved. And this is based on a Cornell University report that was done. And it's also in conjunction with the foodandwater.org out of Washington, D.C. So if you go for privatization, it harms everyone that's involved through increased rates. 59% increase, 114% in some case increase in your water rates. The other thing that seems to happen when it gets privatized is that the water quality goes down because there's not a vested interest in investing in the system because they're already getting the money. So there's an increased cost because they're working, I believe it was in the agreements that Mr. Naylor provided to us that were signed for them to manage the system in the meantime, that they're working on. I think it was cost plus 10%, but that bottom line cost is up to them basically. So if you don't have competition to drive the cost down, and then you're tacking 10% on top of that, it could be more than what you get anyway. I'm a pretty good shopper. I check around before I buy anything. The water meters, I believe, as you pointed out, that's a major expenditure. And if it's only going to benefit Aqua, and we don't go with Aqua because it's maybe a proprietary IT deal, then we've just wasted all that money, which we could have used for the infrastructure that we need in order to get more water to all of us. And that's really the bottom line. So that's basically what this is about, the effects of privatization. This is actually the Cornell University study. Oh, thank you. You're so kind. Okay, then this one is all about Aqua in America. Aqua in America, and what they've done across the nation to different states and locales. Now, this is a real interesting read simply because it spells out a lot of things that I've heard, like your water rates are going to be frozen for 3 years. Well, they've done that in another state, but what they don't tell you, or what they didn't tell them, was that they come up with a surcharge or a certain fee. They can call it whatever they want to get around the state of Texas law or requirement that they charge. Not only that do they charge to get the money back on what they're supposedly improving, but they keep charging, and they got sued for that as well. And then you think, well, that's another state, that's not Texas. Well, guess what? Here in Texas, we have problems too. And it goes through all the different people that, and communities that have had problems, and some of you mentioned the ones that are in Texas already. And then you talk about Google, the Facebook and all of that sort of stuff. Well, you know, if you were to put a comment in about your water experience that you've had over the past several years where you've been out of water, thankfully we haven't had the brown water, but we've had boil notices, infinitum. That's nothing compared to what these poor Aqua people in Texas have experienced. They go days and weeks without it. They have brown water. They have all kinds of stuff coming out. Now, I don't know about you, but their word based on their experience is just as valid as your word based on your experience here. It doesn't get better when it gets privatized. It gets more expensive and you get lower quality. Okay, so what's the solution then? Well, thankfully Cornell came up with an idea along with the water group, and they say it's public to public grouping. And I think there was a gentleman back over there somewhere that mentioned about, you know, grouping co-ops together or something along those lines. That is the most cost-effective That's the best method to get quality water to the people, okay? Then if we want to talk very specific, we could talk about the gentleman who took over the state of Texas for Aqua and what he has done. Well, guess what? He was from Illinois before he came here, and you can read all about what happened in Illinois to the people there. So it's not gossip. It's not, she got on Facebook, and this is what you found out. This is what it says from the universities, from the studies that have been done. You can find all this information. Thank you for putting out those agreements that you put out so that we could read and kind of see what was going on. Now, my question then goes to the point of, it was mentioned in the minutes, I believe, of one of the meetings, that the attorney recommended that RCH sell to Aqua. Okay, that was one thing I thought, well, who was the attorney and why is he recommending anything? He's supposed to just be there to make everything legal, right? So that was one thing that caught my eye. Another thing that caught my eye was when, lost it. Y'all gonna help me out on this one?
Hey, we're old too, we forgive.
Oh, thank you, sir. He called me old dear. Anyway, when I went through the minutes of the different meetings, different things went ping, ping, ping in my brain, like, why was this done? Why is the attorney saying that? Oh, they had someone who they said came in and offered to buy up. Well, what company was that offered to buy up? They also mentioned the fact that there was a company that wanted to come later, apparently, so they held it open another week. That was something else that I thought was kind of weird. Well, who was it that wanted to come in late, and why did they leave it open later? All of those types of things. So anyway, I have lots of documentation and lots of letters and information here. If anybody wants to look at it, you're welcome to, okay? Thank you so much for your additional time.
That's one last thing, was that I think why people are so mistrustful as to things going on is for the last 5 years we were told we were going to get new water lines, a new tower to have capability of more water. And so as we went each month to the meetings and did not get that and was told we were, I think people mistrust whatever comes out right now. So if we can get that trust back, maybe we can get on with all of this.
That's the same answer we've been getting 15 years.
True. I mean, we've been here for 15 years too. Same
Stephen
thing.
Hawley, 677 Horseshoe Bend, and I'm on the High Point Ranch Board of I have several questions that I'm hoping David is typing and writing them up, because we need some answers of, like, things of the $6 million purchase price. Who gets that money? Where does that money go? And I've heard rumors of, I've heard people say that it'll go back to the members. Well, there's legal stuff. What's the legal precedent for that? Because the stuff is in pretty big black and white that says it can't. Put my eyes back on so I can read. So, also, like Aqua, where does the additional water come from that they're talking about that they're going to be able to provide? Because Rockwall, I've heard, has said they want everybody off their system as downstream suppliers by 2025. They're already adamantly said that they are not supplying any additional water. So where's that water coming from, especially for Aqua that can't tie to the North Texas Municipal Water District? And I can guarantee you not everybody's available to sell, because everybody's right now is a downstream provider, except for Terrell, of Rockwall. So there's not available stuff. Blackland, I know, is working on a pipe, but they're not going to be able to supply us anytime soon and the full amount. They're not scoping for it, and it's not being built for that. Also, is Aqua going to end up making sure that they spend all of the capital funds that the RCH has before any vote and that kind of thing? The way I see it, I've heard that there's $8 million in the bank, now there's $7 million in the bank, and then I've heard $6 million in the bank. It seems like the the bank is going down really rapidly, and Aqua gets 10% of everything that they spend. So, you know, out of, you know, these meters that they're approved to buy for 1.5 million, they're getting $150,000 for that. I don't see that money. I see Aqua making sure that all of that money is gone before they take over. Also, why is there no legal action against the previous H2O and stuff concerning all of the records that went away? That screams at me personally. This is my opinion, and I will state that it's my opinion. That screams at me that there's some kind of financial irresponsibility that took place when they quit, when an audit was announced and all the records disappeared. A lot of that history, like somebody mentioned, dividends and stuff. Were we supposed to get dividends and they didn't, you know, somebody else absorbed it and took it? We have no clue of any financial wrongdoing. Also, there was a mention of purchasing in the last meeting of purchasing flow restrictors for every single meter. I'm assuming those are probably for automated, so they can automatically cut your water off. But why is that? I've never been in a city that had flow restrictors attached to every meter in the city, just on the off chance that they could go shut your water off or throttle it. Mm-hmm. That's something new. Why is that happening for everybody? And then where's your recourse, like somebody said, of where's the due diligence and the due process when they do cut it off? Somebody mentioned the voting. It needs to be a third-party administration that is, you know, trusted, and as I said, I think it was the Rockwall County provides that service. And another thing is, why are all the meetings for RCH always during business hours when most people can't make it or have to take off work to get to them? It seems like a ploy. I mean, this is my opinion again. Seems like a ploy to make sure that fewer people are able to attend because they are not done after hours when people are off work. So that's it.
I got one more. It's real quick, I promise. I don't need the mic, but on page 3 of the document you signed with the agreement, it says excluded services, supplies, and materials, the financial and accounting service. The parties agree that Aqua shall not be responsible for RCH's meter reading, bookkeeping, accounting, investment, bill payments, and other financial services. Notwithstanding the foregoing, Aqua agrees to assist RCH in identifying qualified contractors to provide such financial services. So, in my opinion, and I'm no lawyer, but it sounds like if we're having them do all this stuff, or they're already taking over these jobs, they're already in breach of the contract that you guys signed.
Anybody else?
One more, David. We're not saying y'all don't need to do something. We're just saying y'all got the wrong damn people. Okay?
Yeah.
We know you need to do something, and we know you're trying. You got the wrong folks.
I'm Jerry Netherland. I'm 1216 Livorno Drive, and go on with the gentleman over here about the water meters, and in talking to the pro tem who's here today, saying she says no. I don't know what no means. Like no, they're not gonna disapprove anybody who's requesting a water meter or from the developer. I don't know that, or who's the responsible people for this. Is there two people, two entities, the city and RCH? I don't know. Somebody has to be accountable because we got a problem. But somebody's got to stop it. If we're not going to disapprove this and keep the growth from growing, we're still looking at multiple years before any water line, based on city council meetings that I've seen with 2 years to bring in a water line. So somebody's got to say no at some point. And so we're just contributing to the problem of more consumers in our community.
Yeah, also, when are we going to have the vote to vote no for Aqua?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. I don't see any hands, so I'm going to close the open forums and move to the president's report. And I've got actually prepared here, so bear with me as I read this. So I want to thank you everybody for being here today. There's a lot of things going on. We appreciate the engagement and involvement in RCH. And we find ourselves here in a transformative moment in our community and our organization. And I want to acknowledge your patience and dedication as we navigate through this somewhat exciting period of change. Rest assured, we are committed to transparency and open communication as we move forward and position ourselves for current and future needs. So we are working towards that. So first and foremost, you should have had invoices. They've been mailed. I believe a lot of people got them today. Some may have gotten them over the weekend. If you did not get one, the contact information has been updated on the website with a phone number that you can reach out. And so if you need to ask questions, please reach out to them. And also, if you need additional time to make payments, please reach out. Call the number on the invoice, and we'll help you set up a suitable payment schedule. Those of you that made prepayments, if they're not reflected in your current balance, there is a timing issue between when the bills went out and some of the prepayments were received. Please contact that telephone number that's provided on the invoice. We want to make sure that the billing accurately reflects your account. I do want to clarify, we did, as the board did back in June, we set the consumption tiers at the base rate for the unbilled periods, regardless of the actual usage. Again, this transition was not anybody's fault, not y'all's fault, particularly the members' fault. So, just to uphold the fairness and equity in our billing practices. That does stop now. So we're now back to the monthly invoices, and so the whole tiered rates go back into effect. One other thing I'll mention, just due to certain limitations within that billing software, you'll notice a past due balance for the previous months on the invoice. This is just merely a software issue, the reference code in that software. That's not anything about past payment history, and again, per the board policy, no late fees are assessed or will be assessed for the past balances at this time. Regarding the Aqua acquisition proposal, we did take a pretty significant step in the transparency by making the Aqua purchase agreement and operating agreements available for your review on the website. The voting on this proposal, it's going to be a pivotal moment. I get that. And it is, again, I'll just emphasize, you can see it in the documents, it is contractually required to take place. The timing of that is within 6 months of the signature. Right now, no present date and no specific date has been set. And consistent with a lot of the comments here today, our legal counsel is reviewing the voting process to make sure that strict compliance with the RCH bylaws and Texas state law will be maintained. So we'll provide more details on this as soon as we can. To clarify the relationship with Aqua, Aqua currently operates as a contractor responsible for managing the RCH water system. RCH has made an offer, Aqua has made an offer to purchase the certain RCH assets. But again, it's crucial to understand with regard to the acquisition, nothing will proceed without the approval of the members. Your vote is of paramount importance. On the water restrictions, we continue to operate under stage 5 water restrictions. We sent out an email yesterday, and as mentioned, we got the letter in the mail. RCH did authorize the use of water restrictors for those who repeatedly violate these restrictions. Please understand this measure is considered a last resort. It will only be implemented when homeowners persistently disregard our established water usage guidelines. Aqua employees are responsible for notifying the violators. This communication occurs both through direct and person, door hangers if homeowners aren't available, and each interaction is meticulously documented by Aqua. Our primary goal is to encourage voluntary compliance on these water restriction policies. That's the approach that yields the collective benefits for all community members. Lastly, the board does welcome the opportunity to conduct town hall style meetings within your communities. So if you want to schedule one, please reach out to us. We do want to be as transparent, again, try to answer these questions that you have. We do have some communication challenges, and just want to assure you that, again, the RCH board is committed to open communication. Nevertheless, we have to proceed with caution. The fact of the matter is we have hostile takeover actions been initiated by the city of McLendon-Chisholm. They're trying to assume our assets while claiming to act in your best interest. McLendon-Chisholm City Council has publicly declared its intent to proceed with the takeover regardless of the outcome of the vote. So please know that any delay in releasing pertinent information to the RCH membership directly results from their intentions and legal actions. In closing, I express my sincere appreciation for your continued support and understanding. As a united organization, we will work towards a resolution that benefits us all. Rest assured, we are fully committed to resolving these issues over time, and your trust and our attempts to work back to regain your trust are deeply valued. Thank you. With that brings us to board member comments. Anybody? 1 minute.
I've got a couple of comments I'd like to make. First, Who are you? Who am I?
Some of us don't know who you are.
My name is Steve Hatfield. I've served 20 years on the city council, 15 years on the volunteer fire department, and have now served 5 years on this board here. And I'd just like to make sure that everybody understands, again, that there be no sale to Aqua without a vote in the positive from the majority of the people who hold these meters. We're not going to try to slip anything by you. We're trying to do the best we can with a very, very difficult situation here. Not only do we have, having to deal with losing our contractor that handled the system, I guess forever, Jack. We lost them. We can't get any more water out of the people that we've been doing business with since 2009. And we just faced some large obstacles. I would hope that y'all would understand that we're trying to do the very best we can, and we live here too. We're faced with the same issues each one of y'all are. And we are aware of the fact that Aqua cannot buy direct from North Texas. We're not at liberty to explain everything at this point, but we are not sitting here and not considering what we're going to do if this sale does not go through. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Steve.
Appreciate it.
I'm Jack Pullen, and I've been on the city council and on RCH board for several years. And we tried in 2009, went to the city of Rockwall trying to get an increase in water. And we had a contract up there, and they have not acted on it. And about 20 years ago, between 15 and 20 years ago, we tried to go directly to North Texas. What you have your member cities that are members of North Texas Municipal Water District that founded it back in probably the 60s. You have to get 100% vote from the member cities in order for RCH to go directly to North Texas. We tried that 15 or 20 years ago. The way time flies, it could have been a little bit longer than that. But there was one city that voted against it. And like I said, you had to have 100% of the member city votes. We had one city that did not vote for it.
That was several times, wasn't it?
Sir?
That was several times, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
What city was it?
Sir?
What city was it, sir?
I don't want to chunk any rocks at anybody. I know we have, Rockwall has been good. We've worked well with us and everything. And anyway.
Jackie, you're saying that 100% of all the RCH customers right now, if we would take a vote, we get 100%?
No, I'm talking about like Wiley, Levon. I can't call all of the member cities off back of North Texas back in the time when they founded it, but you have to have 100% of their vote. And I don't think it will have a problem getting 100% of the vote now. I don't think it'll
Blackland
be
finally got it.
any problem.
Blackland's tried for what? Same.
And just to be honest, I don't know how North Texas has been able to supply as much water as they have through the drought that we're going through. And but anyway. Again, I just want to thank y'all for coming today, and I appreciate y'all's use of the water and going with the restrictions so that everybody will have water. That is our main goal, and I'm in it just like everybody else.
Yeah, I've been by your house too. Yours
Well,
dead too.
We appreciate y'all's coming today, and thank you.
Jackie, have they changed that
All right.
process?
So we'll move on now to the operations report with Aqua. Joseph?
My name's Joseph McDaniel. I don't think I need that microphone to talk about.
Yes, please.
Some of us are old. We don't hear so good.
My name's Joseph McDaniel. I took over the operations of the water plant. Everything's been running smoothly lately. We have put SCADA at the plant, so I'm actually able to bust out my phone and check the levels of everything. Luckily, we got a little bit of rain just recently, and the levels have gotten a lot better, so usage is good right now. I've been working with some of the other operators in some of those cities, and they've helped me out a lot with what's going on. We are going to look at the generator because there was a little power outage at this last rain we had, and see if we can't get an automatic switch over. So if something like that happens, it's not a big deal. I kept an eye on it for about 20 minutes on our SCADA, and it popped right back on, so everything was good. Operations, like I said, is going good. I'd like to thank the city of McLendon-Chisholm for helping reach out to all the citizens and the HOAs to let y'all know that we needed to stop using as much water. Irrigation is what's killing it right now. So that's all I got. Thank you.
And what was your name one more time, sir?
Joseph McDaniel.
All right. That brings us to our audit report, and Robert Lake with Rutherford Taylor is with us, and I'll just remind the audience and the members here that we're not allowed to. You're not allowed to ask questions of Robert, so this will be a board report.
It's a little different. Y'all are much aware of the challenges in trying to put together a financial report for an organization that, to my knowledge, I haven't seen a report going through all the records that we could find anyway, back 15 years or more. So what you'll find here is a report that's been prepared on the cash basis of accounting, because effectively all we have are the bank statements. In our process of going through the records that were left at the pump station, and inquiries for the operator and from the banks and whatnot, about the only solid evidence of transactions was the bank statements themselves. And so we've put together this report. It's basically just a cash in and cash out type of a report, and we'll get to that. First off, we talked about the independent auditor's report, which begins on page 4. Basically, it says that. It says that it doesn't present financial position. It only reflects cash receipts and cash disbursements. There's what's called an emphasis of matter report that identifies the basis of accounting there in the middle of it. Now, we've gone through our typical audit procedures and whatnot that we have with regard to the balances that are here. But I'm here to tell you that the bank statements are about the only thing that we had. We had some other little things along the way, but effectively nothing that related to water sales or billings or receivables. None of that information was made available to us during our examination of the bank statements and the records that we had. So the best we can do is come up with, this is the cash, this is what came in, and this what went out. So if you look over on page 7, which is the financial statement that's there, I'll kind of point out that these things are, we didn't see any invoices to support anything, so basically the categories that are here are, we do several water supplies and special utility districts and whatnot, so we're very familiar with the vendors that we see, so we basically have based these categories on our experience in that area. So, but what you'll see, the first line says water sales. The only thing that we can tell you there is that those were the deposits that came into the bank account. Now we have eliminated transfers and some other things that we could identify, but that number, while it says water sales, that could be water sales, that could be meter sales, that could be late fees, that could be penalties and interest, that could be anything, because the only thing that we had is just a deposit slip. There's some return checks that we saw. The interest there is on your American National Wealth Management account. So your total cash receipts, and this is for the December 22, year ended December 31, 22. Total cash receipts there is $5.2 million. Then if we look at the cash disbursements, of course, water purchases, of course, is the primary number that you see there, $1.7 million we paid basically to the city of Rockwall for our water. And then we go through other categories there, payroll, which is a combination of checks that were written to employees, as well as direct deposits that went through the bank statement and whatnot, so a combination of those. The payroll taxes is what we saw as payments out of the bank statement to the Internal Revenue Service or the Texas Workforce Commission. Then you go on down through there, repair and maintenance, supplies, chemicals, engineering, all of those things related to suppliers, and we even went in and things that if we didn't know, we went to look at websites to see if we could identify what types of services they are. But you keep going down through there. The billing relates to meter reads, combination of meter readers, and I guess the billing agent that y'all used, Data Pros or something like that out of Coppell. And so that's a combination of those two things. Small amount of legal fees, environmental or payments that you make to TCEQ, and some of those kind of things. Administrative services, postage, variety of things like that that are combined in there, and then miscellaneous, just things that we couldn't identify really what they were. I mean, my perception is that some of those are maybe membership refunds or combination of maybe one-on type of, hopefully, don't really know what they are, to be honest with you. So combination there, just a little bit under $3.1 million in total cash out. So our increase or decrease in cash for the year is $2.1 million. We add that to the beginning cash that we had in the bank statements of a little over $5 million. So at the end of the year, $7.2 million in cash in the bank. Now, in some of those transactions and whatnot that we were going through, we've seen transfers from other accounts that we're trying to trace down and find out the information on. We've seen where certificates of deposit were purchased. Hadn't been able to track those things down to the nth degree yet, but as of December 31, had that much money in the bank accounts that we had identified. Now from there we get into the notes, the financial statements, which are really pretty concise. You know, in a typical audit report, you'd have probably 20 pages of notes and whatnot, talking about capital assets, talking about infrastructure, talking about debt, those types of things. But when you're looking at a cash basis financial statement, you're really only focusing on the cash. And so what you can see there, just some of the significant accounting policies and whatnot. The cash, you can see the 3 accounts there that we've listed that we identified. The one thing, you know, if you want to think about it there at the bottom of the page, you basically have only got a small amount of FDIC insurance covering your deposits that are at the banks. And so you've got what's called a custodial credit risk, and so we've identified that as well. And that's basically it. Has anybody got any questions that y'all might have?
Questions?
No.
Okay. Well, we thank you. If we can do anything else for you, let us know.
Thankfully, once we get to May of this year, we have all the receipts.
That's right.
So,
okay.
Is this report going to be made available?
Thank you all for the information. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. Be more than happy to come back and explain it.
all right, thanks, Robert.
All right.
Is this report going to be made available to the members?
Yeah, we'll make it available. All right, so with that, next thing is executive session. I would like to, I think we'd like to have a short exec session. Let's see, it is 5:26. I entertain a motion to go in.
So moved. Second.
I'll fight for it. All right, I got a motion second. All in favor? All right, so we're going into exec session. We'll step over. Sorry, we're not. Can't take exec questions right now.